Brexit is fueling Scottish independence aspirations, especially among the youth, but many undecided would have to be convinced of a break with England. One of the Queen's body regiments comes from the small town of Coldstream. The Coldstream Guards were stationed here in my hometown, by the way. Symbolically, somehow, because there's hardly anyone in the place who would fight for Scottish independence from the kingdom. On the contrary, most Scots there consider independence to be far too great a risk. They are too closely intertwined with England, and such a step would necessitate a further border across the island, say most passers-by on the busy main street of Coldstream. Now, of all things, more confusion after Brexit? Trevor Sharp, who has a small antique shop there, shakes his head. The union with England lasted over 300 years. Financially, we are better off that way, he says. The chaos after Brexit is enough for us. Nobody needs another adventure like this here. For many younger Scots, however, Brexit is precisely why they are now passionately advocating a break with England. Because many Scots feel like Europeans and want to go back to the EU, even if that could lead to a great economic uncertainty. Graham, Anne and Panda are young Glaswegians, as the residents of the city of Glasgow call themselves. They have founded a collective that wants to transform the area around the conference centre into a large cultural playground before the major UN climate conference in Glasgow in November. Local initiatives for climate protection will be presented there, accompanied by music and street art. This time, they would all clearly vote for independence. They do not accept the argument that Scotland is safer in association with England and that it cannot finance itself on its own. Everything has changed for me since Brexit, explains Anne, who has not voted for independence in the past. We Scots are Europeans and have never voted for leaving the EU. On the contrary, many even voted against independence in the last referendum in 2014 because we were told at that time that we could otherwise lose our EU membership. In addition, Scotland has wind and water in abundance, and the future belongs to renewable energies anyway. Therefore, no one should be afraid that an independent Scotland would not be able to stand on its own 2 feet. This is scaremongering, say in Glasgow, as well as all of the younger Scots surveyed. And we know that, kind of, didn't we? In addition to the ardent opponents and supporters of independence, it's above all the undecided who would matter if there were actually a second referendum. People like Megan Rowland, who lives as a gamekeeper in the Highlands. A deeply sober woman who says she needs a lot more information to form an opinion. She says, Brexit has created so much chaos and we have only been in the EU for 40 years. England, however, has been one country with Scotland for over 300 years and is therefore so much more closely interwoven. She doesn't need another political adventure after Brexit. And so Brexit has deepened the rifts in Scotland when it comes to its own political future. Some want the break with England all the more. For others, Scottish independence would be a Scoxit, a second Brexit that would bring even more economic uncertainty. The question remains a theoretical one for the time being. If the Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon wanted to hold a second independence referendum after May 6 and after an election victory, she would need the approval of the central London government. And Boris Johnson has been stubborn so far. He recently announced that there would be no second referendum with him. But Sturgeon does not want a second referendum, which is constitutionally illegal. Should she get an overwhelming election victory, the pressure on Johnson should increase significantly. So it will be exciting on May 6th. And I'm quite curious how this will end up. As I said several times, I think the independent side will win a big majority of the seats, but it will also count how many seats the SNP will win. Does the split Alippa is trying to get with them only running for regional seats where the SNP, because of all the constituencies, has a disadvantage if that works out. And so it's really interesting. And we will discuss that for the next 2 weeks. I'm quite sure about that. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel. Auf Wiedersehen.